Saturday, the 10th of October, 2020. In today's 606 special show, we dissect the disaster that we've just witnessed at Bloomfield Road. Blackpool 1, Ipswich Town 4 on our 606 show. This is the Seasiders podcast, and this is our 606 match review show. Blackpool 1, Ipswich 4.
Ollie's already changed the world. A small town from the north of England with a great tradition.
All right, welcome back to the 606 show, Blackpool supporters, Blackpool fans out there. Seasiders podcast 606, instant match review coming from the virtual studio. We're joined in the studio tonight by Tim, Nick and Matt. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So Nick, myself and Tim have just made a beeline back from the... Let's just get our pictures on, actually. Let's get our ugly mugs on screen. Just
our happy smiley faces today.
I always get this wrong. Overlay. And if I click that, no. If I click that, perhaps. Right, there we go. As you can see from the ticker, Saturday, 10th of October, Blackpool 1, Ipswich Town 4. As I was alluding to earlier, Nick, Tim, Sam, one of your other children, Tim, we've all been to the Armfield Club.
One of my many children.
You have, yeah. You like Boris Johnson. You look like Keir Starmer, but you like Boris Johnson.
And Carl Oyston. We all got loads.
Have you got any more tucked away anywhere, Tim?
Two more.
There's two more, is there? Is there really?
Yeah, I've got 4. If I know all.
Matt, I'd just like to tell you, and I'll show you actually, that I'm just showing this to the camera.
Oh, he's sampling it. Good lad.
Do you recognise what that is?
I do indeed. It's some turbo cider, which could wreak havoc in the next half an hour.
Tim's ruin.
That's some of old Matt's ruin.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I think I need it after this. And Matt, let's come to you first, because you're not drinking at the moment, are you? And
no.
I bet you wish you were after witnessing that. Yeah,
it's not doing my sobriety any good whatsoever watching these last 4 or 5 weeks, isn't it now? Yeah, I mean, it all looked good after 10 minutes, didn't it? Quite frankly, it was a nice, easy opening into the game. But I sort of, as the game went on, you just thought Ipswich were looking at us thinking, "Is this all they've got?" And then, they got the goal against the run of play, and it just went sort of downhill from there. Really, we're getting to the point now where I think we're starting to question a lot more about what sort of direction and things are happening on and off the pitch at the football club. I know it's only 5 games in or whatever, plus a handful of cup games, but obviously we're missing still a couple of centre halves who have got brought in this week, and both of them are away for various reasons. But one of the things that we're majorly missing is leadership. We don't seem to have it anywhere on the park. And when we went 2 down, it was the point in the game where if you did have somebody that would metaphorically sort of shake the team up, we might have been able to, at least not go in at 3-0 at half time. And yeah, it's just so obvious that as much as they're trying to do this under 23 style of football, we are in desperate need, I think, of somebody, plural bodies, who can give us a bit of League One nous and a bit of experience to help these young lads along.
Someone like Charlie Adam, perhaps, Nick, as I was telling you on our journey, our trudge back down Bloomfield Road from the Armfield Club at half time. I did tell you I had a conversation with Charlie Adam at Poolfoot Farm, and we're just crying out for someone of his experience in this team, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It's another team who've turned up, and don't get me wrong. I think they'll be. I can't remember where we had them in our predictions, but I think we all had them probably top 6 or thereabouts. Yeah. So they'll be up there. But it's another team who've come with a game plan and they've executed it, and we just we don't have enough. I'd be interested to see what people's thoughts are on the team with Turton being in at right back. Being in at centre half. Possibly raise a few eyebrows.
Let's get that up there then now, Nick.
Yeah.
So the starting line up, as you can see from the screen there, was Chris Maxwell, Jordan Gabriel starting at left. At right back, Garbutt at left, Ek Potato, and Ollie Turton. Tim, will come to you next on this. Ethan Robson, Grant Ward, Keshi Anderson, Gary Medine, which was a surprise. CJ Anderton and CJ Hamilton, and Jerry Yates. So over to you now, Tim. As we were all saying when we were sat behind the table at the Armfield Club, what the hell is Ollie Turton doing at centre half when we've got 2 brand new signings at centre half? And
one was away.
It was one was away, but. Why wasn't the Icelandic Gretesen put in there, and why are we playing with a substandard right back at centre half position?
It does beg the question, doesn't it? I mean, we were saying that before the game. I mean, this isn't with the benefit of hindsight, but when we saw the team, we thought, what is going on back there? And I mean, listen, I don't think Thornley's covered himself in glory since he joined us, but he is a centre-back, and if we are going to play round pegs in round holes, then you're going to put a centre-back in a centre-back's role rather than move a right-back into the centre-back position. So this isn't a criticism of Turton in any shape or form and how he played today or whatever, but we're not starting players in the positions that they should be in, and it worries me. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't play Thornley, or why you wouldn't chuck the Icelandic lad in from the start. I mean, listen, there must be a reason behind why he wasn't involved at all today, why he wasn't even on the subs bench. Maybe he's not match fit. I don't know. But as I understand it, he was playing for his Norwegian team. I think it was Norway he was playing, wasn't it? So if I remember rightly, he was playing for his Norwegian team up until a couple of weeks ago. So why a young fit lad wouldn't be capable of at least going on the subs bench, I don't know. But there must be a reason behind that. But we've got a centre-back. We've got somebody who's got centre-back experience. And Turton isn't a centre-back. The only time Turton's ever played centre-back for us is in the back 3 on the right-hand side, and effectively playing the right-back role in the back 3. And he isn't a centre-back. So why are we playing him there? Don't know. And it's very frustrating.
Having said that, Tim, most of the problems came from the full-back position, didn't it? Certainly, 2 of their goals. The first one, Gabriel's just got skinned, and it's a very good finish. But
this isn't a criticism. I've said, Hasten, it's not a criticism of Turton and the way Turton played today. But I think we've spoken on previous pods about putting round pegs in square holes, or vice versa, and we've done it again today. And clearly Thornley isn't rated, and we don't know what's going on. I think we were having a chat, weren't we, even before the game, saying about this particular point. This isn't with the benefit of hindsight. This was part of our text exchange on the link we all have on WhatsApp with the patrons, and we were saying what we're doing. Why is that happening? And the question's still out there, isn't it? And it's not because we lost 4-1. It's because why are we playing a right back at centre back?
Right. So let's move on to the actual goal, the goal incidents, or the main incidents in the game. So listeners, what we're going to do, just the panel here, we're going to go through the game. Then we're going to bring the calls in one by one. You can have your say. We'll discuss what you want to say. We'll bring the next one in, and so on and so forth. And then we're going to address the listeners' comments at the end. So please do keep your comments coming in. They will be addressed, and we will address them So onto the game now itself. Matt, so I'm just going to tell you what myself, Nick, and Tim did. We went to the Armfield Club, and it was a bit of a debacle trying to get the game onto our screens. Various
on yours.
Yeah, well, on mine it was.
Tim's was fine, yeah.
Tim's was fine. I brought my laptop. I couldn't get it working. Well, I could connect to the stream. It was buffering constantly.
It's your fake iMac.
I knew I should have paid full price for it instead of getting a refurb.
It was £200 for a brand new Apple MacBook Pro.
It's got an orange on it rather than an apple. It's
tangerine.
Chinese fake.
I got it from Bond Street Market. Does that count as the official market store?
I mean, the Wi-Fi. To be fair, in there, I connected to it, and it was bang on. And Tim.
I think I follow as an organisation or part of the EFL. They've got a lot of questions to answer because Nick, particularly when a couple of guys came up to our table and they said, "How the hell did you get this working on an app?" It's just poor, isn't it? The whole user experience on there.
I think they could make it easier when you consider how many people will be using it now, because we can't go into a football ground. It should just be a very, very
log in here, click here, watch here,
press this button.
In defence of the EFL, and I'm not often a person known for defending them, but the best thing to do is to get it all set up, logged on, ready to go before you go anywhere, because prattling around at 2 minutes to 3, and a couple of guys came up to me and saying, I've got to put my code in yet. Well, what? Don't leave it to the last minute. But equally, it isn't the easiest of experiences. You've got, even though it's free, you've got to put your
you've still got to pay, haven't you? Yeah.
And so if you've gone out without your credit card, you're stuffed, because you can't log in at the last minute because you need your credit card details or your debit card details.
Yeah.
So it is a rather frustrating experience. I mean, my view is, and I've said this on the forums, that I think the EFL needs to look at the bigger picture here, because if we're not going to be back in the next 3 months or 6 months, they should be licensing premises to show these games. And now, whether they want to say you can only go in there with the season ticket and you've got to produce your season ticket card or something to get in, not that we've got them, but if we assuming we get them at some point, so that they can say those are people who've already paid the money, they need to look at a bigger picture here, because us all sitting at home watching it in isolation, which is the official rules at the moment, is a load of nonsense, and it needs to change. But equally, the signing in experience is archaic, isn't it? It's not good. But everybody needs to do it before they turn up. So if you're going to go somewhere, or you need to do it before you set off from home, because if you're going to go, I'm sure the EFL will say, well, you can't go. You can't watch it anywhere other than your home anyway. But again, that's a lot of nonsense. You've paid your season ticket. You've paid for the game. You should be able to watch that where you want. It shouldn't be up to them to dictate that you can only do it in a bubble cell, padded cell that nobody else can possibly see, because that's just, we've all paid for a season ticket.
It's far too sensible, though, that, Tim.
They could make money out of it. They could make money out of it by saying, right, if you want to be a licensed premises, then they can't charge stupid money like Sky do, because of course they've only got the one game to show every 2 weeks, or if they license away games every week. Well, so it's not like they couldn't charge like the silly money that they charge the pubs for Sky, because they're getting like God knows how many games through the week. But they could say like £500 if you want to be a venue. There's a licensed venue, you pay £500, and it's on you, and we're going to come around and spot check you. And if you've got people in there who haven't got a season ticket or haven't paid £10 to come in, which you're going to pass on to us, then you lose your license, and that's why they would lose them. That would be the incentive to the venues to make sure that they complied. The fact is that vast majority of people who go in places, certain establishments will have a season ticket. If they haven't, then they can pay a tenner, and that organisation then has to pass that on to the EFL. It's easy. It's actually dead easy.
Yeah, it is. I think that the whole experience needs looking at by the EFL, and I think it's up to the member clubs like Blackpool and whoever's a member of the EFL to go to the EFL and say these things. I mean, we need to get our message out to the SLO. I think that's our only route in there. Yeah. And I think Blackpool and all the other clubs need to be putting heat on the EFL to tell them this I follow experience. It's just not acceptable at the moment. It's just not good enough. Because I went back to my house to watch the second half, and you just could not log in via the browser. Once the match is in play, it caches your session, and you cannot watch it. I was on the chat, and the guy was like saying, "Oh, you need to clear your cache using the browser." All that. It's just unacceptable. Given
the best way to do it is, and fans want to watch. Listen, we were in the Armfield today, and how good would it have been if that was on all the screens? You know, listen, nobody's trying to deprive the EFL or Blackpool Football Club or anybody else of any money. But how good would it have been? And it could be all over the Fylde Coast. And listen, I know we might have an issue with public houses having to shut down next week, but ignoring that for a minute, why isn't that being done? You've got in the Premier League, you've got Crystal Palace doing a deal, or BT doing a deal with View Cinemas for people to go and sit in a bloody cinema to watch the game.
Have they really?
Yeah. So you can go into a cinema to watch a football match. You can't go into the ground to watch a football match, but you can go to a cinema to watch a football match. Why can't the EFL get their head around the fact that it's quick? It's everybody makes out of it. The fans have a better experience if they want it. If they don't want to sit at home, you don't have to go there. You can still watch it at home. The pubs and clubs make and social clubs can make more money out because they're going to get people in the venues and they're struggling, and the EFL can charge them for the privilege. So at what point does that not make any sense to anybody?
Right. So our only route into the club is via the SLO. So maybe we need to get Steve Rowlands and tell him we want these issues addressing to the club, and we want you to go and speak to the EFL.
I know the Armfield Club have tried, and
they have,
and they've put it on social media, haven't they? That they've had a very, very terse and an uncompromising response, which is, well, how they would do it, I don't know, because there's no contract. But we'll find you 10 grand if you do it.
It's pathetic, isn't it? So maybe we need to speak to the AFL, or maybe go and get one of their representatives on air, perhaps. I have to say what they say.
Listen, we've all paid a substantial amount of money. Listen, and we do it because we love the football club and we want to support it. But the experience is the EFL need to make the experience right, because this ain't going away, is it? We're not going to be back in these stadiums the way the Boris and his cabinet are dealing with it. We're not going to be back in the stadiums anytime soon. So they need to think, how are we going to keep these fans engaged? And this has nothing to do with Blackpool and the way we played today. But for everybody, how are we going to keep these fans engaged? Because that's what we are their customers, and we've paid. We've paid, whatever it was, 270 quid, whatever it is, and the iFollow experience is it's not great. It's not great. I was going to say something more direct. The reality is, it's not good. It's not good. And listen, I watched it on my laptop today, and it had a good, good, no buffering. But if you're watching it anywhere other than in your own home, venues have noise on. You can't hear the commentary. And it makes for a very, very difficult experience.
Right, have we all got that out of our systems now?
Yep, I think.
Let's move on to the positives now.
This week.
Right, okay. Let's move on to the positives, i.e. the game. Matt, so as you can probably tell by Tim and myself's rants there, our viewing experience wasn't optimal of the first half, and I think you were the only one who's watched this in any form of detail in the first half, so I'm going to concentrate on you here. The first half particularly, I didn't even see this first goal, so I was too busy trying to get my stream working. As you can see on the screen there, Blackpool, Ipswich, Luke Chambers, right-footed shot from the right side of the box. It was a great goal, to be fair. Could it have been prevented?
Yeah, from the outset, it could have been. Gabriel got rinsed, I think is the common term. down his right, their left-hand side. Within a matter of a couple of yards, he was a yard behind their left winger or left back, whoever it was that put the ball in. And then equally on the other side of the pitch, the guy who scored, who was it who scored? Chambers, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Great finish, but we didn't have a play within 5 yards of him. Nobody was tracking him back. I think the nearest one might have possibly been Yates, but he's like much further forward in the pitch position. So I don't think it was necessarily his responsibility. It was just sort of typical of us at the moment. We conceded when we were, I wouldn't say we were on top, but we were comfortable. And, the first time the ball goes anywhere near the 12-yard penalty spot or whatever, it's smashed in and we find ourselves 1-0 down again. Yeah. And this is where we're at. It wasn't a mistake as such this time. At least that's a positive of sorts. But it was a player who didn't do his job on the right back position, and somebody else wasn't doing the job to track Chambers, who was basically playing right back for Ipswich. So he obviously had a bit of a free rein to run into our area or on the edge of the area before smashing it past Maxwell. So that was what I think about 15 minutes gone, something like that.
Tim, you saw it, didn't you? On your stream that was working.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the goal?
Preventable initially. Gabriel didn't cover himself in glory at right back, did he? In the way in which he let the player go past him. And really just to endorse what Matt said, I think when the ball came across, the Ipswich player really was given far too much room, too much time, but equally it was a great finish. So mixed, really. I think the issue mainly for us was the way in which Gabriel didn't take a grip of the player going. I don't know the name, to be fair. Player going down the left. He went past him. The tackle should have come in. It didn't. It came across. We didn't close down. But sometimes you've actually got to say as well that when a goal's scored like that, the guy hit it well, got his foot behind it. I don't think Maxwell could have done much about it, to be honest. Yeah, I think it's all down the right. It's all down their left or right for me where the issue was there.
Right, let's move on. Matt, let's move on to their third goal. Game effectively put to bed on 45 minutes.
We haven't done the second.
Yeah, we can skip the second goal if you want, but that's fine by me. To be fair, I was in and out. I was in my own concourse at home, so I did actually miss this one. I did a nick.
Did a Smith?
I did.
Whereas I didn't.
So maybe Nick needs to fill you in on this one.
Go on, Nick.
Just again, poor defensively. We're standing off, giving them too much time and space, and I wonder whether you'd question Maxwell on that one, getting beat at his near post. I don't know what your thoughts are.
I thought he hit the side netting when it first was hit, and because you don't get the same fan reaction, do you? No. And then I suddenly realised it at the back of the net. And I must admit, I thought Maxwell didn't get down quick enough.
No. But again, it was preventable before it even got to the point where the shot's going in, wasn't it?
Mm.
Similar to the first goal.
I missed it. I did a Smith. I was just I was pissing around with my laptop trying to get it working.
Yeah. Apparently somebody's put a comment on that Ian Chisnell missed it as well. So I was going to say we're in good company, but we're probably not.
No surprise there. Brett was correcting him on quite a few occasions, I've heard, when I listened to the second half.
Sorry, Tim. I was going to say I was listening to Radio Suffolk or whatever it was. The away.
Did you get the option, Matt? Did you get the option which commentaries?
I've found over the last 3 games that the away commentators are far superior.
Yeah. So,
and to be fair, the 2 guys today were actually the best ones I've listened to, which doesn't necessarily say a lot, but they were good, and at least they knew a bit about our football club and the players and such like. Because sometimes you get ones that are just a little bit I don't know, uneducated.
And it was the previous game weren't even neck-worthy. They weren't even saying our players' names. They were just saying the number 7 passes to the number 3.
Oh, the Lincoln commentators. Yeah, no, they weren't. It wasn't great, but
it is hit and miss, isn't it? It is hit and miss. I think
a bit like Blackpool's forward line, Tim.
Yeah. Although I actually thought, I've got to say before the game that I called it. That was the best way of lining up our front three. Move Yates out to the left, get Medine in, and leave CJ on the right. And
you also called on our group chat that you can't see anything other than a Blackpool defeat, and you were spot on.
I couldn't. I think it was a complete mistake to play today.
The game full stop, do you mean?
Yeah. I wouldn't have played. I mean, and again, I'm not saying this with the benefit of hindsight. I said that last week, if I remember rightly,
you did
on the pod, and it was madness to play today because we needed centre backs in. We needed to bed them in, and neither of the players we brought in this week are involved, and that just tells me that why would you? We knew Ipswich were playing well. I mean, and the call was made, as I understand it, before we played Lincoln, so we've got to bear that in mind. But we'd still lost 2 and won 1, and we knew that we had an issue at centre back. So why are we playing a game against a formed team when we haven't got our centre-back issues resolved? Now, we did then try and resolve the centre-back issues, but not to the point where we could play either of them this week. So it is madness.
You're right.
It's madness. Why would you elect? Listen, if you've gone into the start of the season and you've won your first 3 or 4 games, of course you want to play because you want to keep your momentum going.
Yeah.
But why the hell would you play when we're all over the place?
Who's responsible for this? Who's made the decision? Who's made the call?
I suspect it's the collective. It must be the club generally.
It's ultimately the manager. To be honest, it's ultimately the manager. The manager's made the call on this because the only person who can make that call is the manager. Nobody else makes that call.
No. I just going back to your point about the lineup and the front three. One thing that was disappointing for me today was that we were just too predictable in that when you see the Liverpool way, if we're going to quote it that way, you don't always see Mane or whoever in their fixed positions. And they could have easily rotated all 3 of them, quite frankly. I think Medini's definitely more your number 9, if you will. But the other 2 could have rotated around a bit, moved about a bit. Yates could have gone over to the right-hand side, Hamilton to the left, perhaps, just to give us a little bit of, just to make them think about it, if nothing else. Because Hamilton was beating his fullback occasionally, but the other guy, he had Yates in his back pocket. I thought, really, he's not a left midfield type of player, and I just thought he could have just given him a little bit of an opportunity, Hamilton, to have a go at the other guy, but it never happened, unfortunately, and just another one of those little things, isn't it? Where you just think just a little bit of, I don't know, foresight, creativity, thinking generally, to do this sort of stuff. But just another little whinge there, really. But do you want to go into the third goal, John? We'll get this first half over with quickly.
Yeah, actually, I had a glitch then. What happened? The third goal, 45 minutes. Teddy Bishop, left-footed shot from outside the box into the bottom left corner. I can't really remember it, to be honest. I think me and Nick were just about to skedaddle.
I think he just curled it into the bottom corner, didn't he? And that's game over before half time, isn't it? We were never going to be back from that.
Did we have on that one? Didn't we have a problem on we were on their right, our left? There was a suggestion of a foul on. I can't remember which player of ours it was now. There was a suggestion of the foul which wasn't given. The ref played on. And then the guy who's their player, Bishop, cuts inside, and we just stood off him, and he killed the ball into the bottom left-hand corner, as I recall, as we're looking at the goal, and it was too easy for me. I just thought, where's our defence? I think there was a shout of a foul in the build-up. And I think there was it's a bit frustrating we weren't given that. But
you've got
it's not given. We're playing on. Close the player down. Don't let him shoot.
Nick's just hit
It's
the nail on the head.
basics.
It's a schoolboy thing, isn't it, to play to the whistle? And we just seem to stop. And then Bishop just had all the time in the world to just, the sea party, didn't it? And, and then that was it. 3-0 game over.
I think I actually said 2-0 game over. Second, I thought that's it. Yeah. That's it, mate. Coming back from this.
I think there was coffin. As good as the first 10 minutes were, we were comfortable, but I think they were just weighing us up, quite frankly, like the first couple of rounds of a boxing match, if you will.
Yeah, it's a common theme, isn't it? Like, we start okay, and then people are like, "Hang on, we've got the better of these," and
that's right. Go. And I think that the midfield is just so disjointed for me at the moment. Ward doesn't offer you anything, I don't think.
We said this before on the match, Matt, on our table.
And Anderson,
why is he in midfield? Why is he in midfield? He's a striker.
I think he's just lost in there. I think he could be I think he is a good player, but I just don't think he's in the right position. Whether he's a number 10 in a 4-4-2 type of thing, rather than whatever he's playing it as a third, a midfield 3. Robson, I thought he was one bad tackle off getting red carded today. He just seems to be petulant in the first half. He seems to be lost in there. And this is where we go back to where we've started 15, 20 minutes ago, where an experienced person nearby him would have had a word, So there's obviously still, a work in progress is probably an understatement, really. But this work in progress needs to put a shift in pretty quick.
Just to put a point out there, I did have a conversation with an ex-Blackpool hero captain who shall remain nameless at Poolfoot Farm on Sunday. I was with my son's futsal tournament, and this ex-Blackpool player who shall remain nameless said Critchley will not sign experienced pros because experienced pros would have been speaking up against what was going on, particularly in the Lincoln debacle. And he said he can't handle experienced professionals, and kind of harks back to the transfer policy, really, in my view, under 25s. No one with experience in there, and that's exactly what we're crying out for in this team. Everyone's saying it, but it doesn't seem to be happening. So let's move on to the second half anyway. A brighter performance from Blackpool, and we gave ourselves a lifeline on 60 minutes when Gary Medine scrambled one into the bottom left corner, as it says on the screen there. And Nick, we had a bit of a spell after that, didn't we, for 10 minutes?
We did, yeah. But that was about it. And then, Ipswich got themselves going again. I never really thought we were in any danger of turning it round and getting anything out of the game. It was a bit of a scrappy goal. And we had a bit of possession, a few corners, a couple of free kicks whipped in where we could have maybe done better. But, it was better than the first half, but let's be honest, it couldn't be any worse, could it? And then they go up the other end again. Gabriel just caught ball watching, really, out of position. And to be fair, it was a very good touch by the Ipswich lad to bring it down and get himself ahead of him. But it's just naive for me, for the fullback there. He needs to be aware of who's behind him and what's going on. I did read quite a lot of the comments on the Forest forum when we signed him, and they're all saying, as a modern fullback going forward, great, but don't expect him to defend, because he can't. That's
exactly what they've said. The Ipswich fan said about the left back.
I know,
they said the same thing.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a worry, isn't it, that we've got these players who might be great going forward, but ultimately you've got to start and build from the back on a solid defence.
It seems to be the. It seems to be the modern trend, doesn't it? That these fullbacks these days used to be wingers who can't obviously defend. They don't start out as defenders who move into a right back position or a left back position.
Yeah.
So Mitchell got done last week. Doesn't look like he can defend properly. Gabriel the same today.
Garbutt on the left.
Garbutt on the left. Yeah, I thought he was okay today. I thought he was neat and tidy, but he doesn't. I don't know.
He's not Craney-esque, is he?
No, and that's it. That's what you want out of you.
You want a Craney, don't you? That's what you want.
You want a League One fullback to be first thing solid, and second thing, if they can go past the halfway line, that's a bonus, and they can cross the ball in. It's not. That's the first thing you look for in a fullback is how quick they are and how much of a cross they can put in. It's how can they effing defend.
Yeah,
and that doesn't seem to be the modern trend at the moment. It seems to be all these young, inexperienced, don't look like they can put a tackle in anywhere fullbacks that are, gracing our presence at the moment.
Defensively naive, I think, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, Craney was a good Championship left back.
He was good in the Premier League, Tim.
Well, I'm telling you, he was a good Championship left back when he joined us, and he upped his game in the Premier League.
Never put a foot wrong. Totally dependable,
and great going forward.
Yeah.
The people we've got at the moment are nowhere near his ability.
Maybe we need to get him on loan from Fleetwood.
I'll take Ginge right now.
Don't you slag off Mark Davis, Matt. Don't you dare.
I meant the present day Mike Davis.
Present day?
Yeah.
Who's that?
Yeah. No, some 50-year-old will probably do better.
Right, that was the game. Is anyone wants to add anything about the game before we go into the callers? Because I know Phil's waiting. Phil's got to make his tea yet.
All right, okay. Well, all I'm going to say is, and it's the point we made last week, is that game was screaming out for a captain, and we still haven't seen who that. Who was a captain today?
It's Maxwell.
Was it Maxwell?
Well, you shouldn't. You should never have a goalkeeper as a captain. For me, I hated it when Shilton used to captain England. You can't have a goalkeeper as captain, but even if you're not captain, we still want captain performances from around the pitch.
Yeah, exactly.
And anyway, listen, let's not try and be too negative. Let's see what the callers have got to say.
I'm sure they'll all be positive.
Right.
Talking of which.
So here we go.
We've got our number one fan in, Phil. Phil, it's great to have you on.
Well, I just like to start.
Where do we go, Phil? Where do we go from here?
I'd just like to start by saying I actually agree with what you guys have been saying. Believe it or not, I can't. I want to hark back though. To I've also got to do here is my 12-year-old son who watched the game as well. So
what's his name, Phil? What's his name?
So he's got some input as well. He wants to say. But I want to go.
What's his name?
It's Drew. Andrew. Hi, Drew.
Hi.
He plays football at a reasonable. He plays football at a reasonable level as well.
Does he play it right back? Because I think he might get a game at Bloomfield.
Well, central midfield. So I think that's part of the problem.
Get a game there.
Yeah, certainly can. I want to go back to the manager recruitment process. Really, I mean, I don't think much has been made of this. How we kind of messed about trying to interview 5 or 6 different guys. I mean, we went for Nathan Jones, didn't we? We went for Robinson from Oxford. We went to Wellens. We went to the guy from Barnsley, Higginbottom, whatever his name is. We've kind of like hunted around for an experienced manager, and then we've kind of gone against
Robinson from Oxford as well.
Yeah, the guy from Robinson, yeah. And then we've gone against that process completely, and then gone for somebody completely inexperienced who's been, do you know what I mean? Who's been looking after kids football. I see Bison's has just come on there. Yeah. Nice. So I just don't understand the process really of why we've gone down the Critchley route, considering that wasn't obviously plan A.
It's Tim. That's a good point, isn't it? Because we've gone for like the likes of Carl Robinson. We've been knocked back, and we've gone for an academy manager, and so far it's just not working, is it?
No, and listen, I think Phil was probably one of the people who was quite vocal about that at the time. Personally, I think we all thought it could work, didn't we? Listen, we've been on the pod here, and we're trying to. I think we've tried to be positive about it, and we've said, look, can he bring players in from Liverpool? Can we play the Liverpool way. It will be attractive to watch. And in some respects, particularly pre-season, we saw some attractive football played, particularly in the first half against Liverpool, first half against Everton. So there have been positives, but equally, we've all been saying from day one, we need to sort out the defence. We need to have a decent centre midfield. We need a decent striker because we've shipped out everybody from the last year's team who was any good.
Liam Feeney was the second top assist maker in the entire country, and we got rid of him.
De Bruyne.
I don't think we did enough to keep Grandelay either. I think Big Armand. He scored a lot of goals last season. Okay, it was a bit route one at times, but he scored a lot of goals, and he was definitely.
He wasn't route one though, Phil. He was when he came, but some of
they turned him into
goals he scored. He was brilliant, wasn't he? He really came on last year.
I heard as well from a good source that Critchley just didn't fancy him. So when he came in, he just didn't want him. So it wasn't the fact that he wanted to leave that badly. I just don't think the manager or the head coach, as we're calling him, wanted him. And I just think it's bizarre that you're not going to want to keep your top scorer.
I think that was the case with a few players, wasn't it? It's very much a case of if your face doesn't fit, I don't want you. That's it. You're out. I
don't think it's even face fitting, Nick. I think it's you're not my player. I didn't buy you, so I don't want you.
Well, I think Drew wants to make a point.
Didn't we?
God, you make your point. I think Drew wants to make a point about something that he's thinking.
Go on, Drew.
We've got no experience in the whole team. We've sold Arman, we've sold Fons, lost Spearing as well. It's just got all like 22, 23-year-olds just who've never played with each other before in one team trying to play like Liverpool.
There you go.
There you go. Out of the mouths of babes, is the expression, is it something, isn't it?
I think he's right, though. It's a fair point about experience, and I've been banging on about it for ages, and no one kind of takes it seriously. Think that, oh yeah, you're just having a bit of a moan. But I can't think of one good team in the history of football that's won anything without an experienced spine, and we just haven't got one.
I think that's it. The experienced spine is what we're sadly lacking, and I'm starting to lay the blame, above Critchley in this instance. The club, Mansfield, has taken these decisions to maybe not go as hard as he needed to with the 3 or 4 other names that you said prior to Critchley getting the job. But if they've gone for Critchley, maybe there's an element of sort of a bit romantic about it. We'll try and be the next lower league Liverpool or whatever. And I think we're at a point where obviously we need to. I think the club need to decide whether they're going to go down this route for a bit longer than we probably all first thought things were going to actually turn around. It might take us 18, 24 months or whatever to steer this shit down, the Mersey Canal or whatever it is, Mersey River. And where, at the moment, I think we're just a bit lost. We're rudderless, and that's where we need the experience to help us out.
And this goes back to my point that I made when I first came on about the way we've gone for Critchley. I just don't understand how we've gone completely full circle, thinking we'll go for an experienced manager, which we tried to. We tried to go for Nathan Jones. That was the first guy we tried to get in. He's an experienced manager who's got League One promotion on his books. He had a bad time.
Is he back at Luton now?
Yeah, he's got back to Luton, yeah. But he was the first guy that I believe we went for, and he knocked us back. So I just think, well, how have we gone from looking at that sort of experienced manager to coach who's just done under 23 football? It's a massive difference.
Yeah. Do you think maybe they've thought, because obviously we went with League One experience with Grayson, didn't we? He was the probably the best record at getting teams out of League One. So then they've maybe just thought, right, we're going to go completely different. Because
it was done really. Yeah, but it's strange though, because we've kind of tried to go for 4.
It's not a policy, Phil. I think what you're saying is, it's not a policy. It's like, all right, we'll take whatever we can get then.
Yeah,
I think that's what ultimately what you're saying. There's no.
I don't know. No, I think it's more of a shift change of what the club have wanted midway through the process.
Do you think it's a shift? Do you think it's a shift change just because they've been knocked back though, which isn't great planning, really?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, possibly it is, but it's a massive difference from going for somebody
you're right,
to someone who's just under 23 football. So like Tim said earlier, I'll be honest with you, I was quite vocal when Critchley first came in, and I wasn't sure it was the right way to go really in this league. It's a tough league. You're playing against experienced teams with you're playing against men, and we've signed a lot of kids, and I just don't think we've got that. And I'll come back to what Drew said before, that experienced spine in the team, and I think that comes down to the guy we've hired as well. So I'd like to ask a few questions if anyone's listening from the board of why we have gone down that route. And I know
we've got
sorry, Nick, go on.
Sorry, go on. We've got is it Tommy Johnson, head of recruitment, isn't it?
Yeah.
So presumably they're going out identifying. He's going out identifying these players, or the scouts are. He's putting his reports together, and we're going off his recommendation. I would imagine.
Nick, just to put in there, he's ultimately Critchley is the man who picks.
Oh yeah,
that's what I've been told. He's ultimately the man who makes the decision. But a lot of people have been pointing the finger at Tommy. Is it Tommy Johnson? Is that his name?
Yeah.
A lot of noise is now focusing on him because of this apparent scattergun approach we now have, which is very similar to the back end of Ian Holloway's tenure.
The other point is picking up on Phil's point about going for an experienced manager. My thought process is if you're going to have a change of heart and go down that route, which obviously clearly we have at some point, is that wouldn't you try and possibly look to match him up with somebody who has experience in League One, who's there to give him, the insight into, because obviously there's a transition, isn't it, between dealing with under 23s and dealing with people we're having to deal with in relation to, the way Gillingham played a couple of weeks ago. We've got a lot of experienced managers in League One. We've got Appleton, we've got Lambert today, we've got various people who know the way around this league. And I wonder whether we should have had somebody alongside him with a little bit more experience of League One. So I tell you what, and it was only I only had a little bit of a glimpse of him because he left not long after the interim board took over. But somebody like Brabin alongside him, who actually knows how League One works, might have, or somebody with even more experience maybe, might have been the solution. If you're going to go down that route, if you're going to say, look, we're going to try this. Because it's an experiment at the end of the day, isn't it? It's an experiment in moving an under-23 manager from a very, very successful team who knows all the under-23 players in the country, if not the world. How is that then going to impact on dealing with the day-to-day reality of League One? And that might mean bring that experience in alongside him. At the moment, we haven't got that. We've got Garrity, haven't we, alongside him, who's come with him. They're taking the rip out of you, Phil.
Some of it, no, it's not.
Yeah, I'm not getting any more. I'm not getting any more.
It looks like ran back. Sorry, Tim. Go on.
Yeah. I wasn't watching the screen when I saw that. I just wonder whether what Phil thinks maybe about could we have matched him up with somebody with that more League One experience to sort of balance it out a little bit more.
I think looking back now, then yeah, definitely. I think that's what we should be doing now. I mean, because there's no way the board are going to get rid of him. So I think, but even if we do that now, it's kind of like a bit of an admission of making maybe a wrong decision. I think we're kind of stuck with what we've got. But going back to what you said, yeah, definitely. If we are going to go for an inexperienced coach, then surely we should have I'm not saying a director of football, but somebody overseeing that process with more know-how. I mean, like you said before about Gillingham, I mean, it was a classic, 5-card trick, wasn't it? Really, what they did to us, and since then, it's not got any better. And it does seem to be a bit of a lack of know-how as well. We're getting a little bit bullied. We're getting pushed off the ball a little bit. Other teams, their game management's better than ours. We seem to be making silly mistakes all the time, and it's not all Critchley's fault. But I do think that if we had somebody next to him, someone sat next to him who's got a little bit more about him in this league, then it would certainly help. But I think this is going to happen now. I just can't see it happening. I think the board are in a bit of a corner now where they've backed him. We've decimated our old squad completely. He's got rid of virtually everybody. I think there's only 3 players left, and he's not going to bring. They're not going to bring somebody else in now because that's going to undermine Critchley. I don't think they're going to do that. So I think we're kind of stuck where we are with it. And I mean, I know I've had a bit of a bit of fun on AVFTT this week, and people saying, "Oh, do you want the manager sacked and stuff?" I said, "No, there's no point. What is the point? I mean, you can't sack a manager after he's done what he's done to the squad, because whoever comes in next is going to do the same thing. It's not going to be players. A manager always wants his own players. So what's the point? We've got him now. We're just going to have to get on with it, really."
Yeah. I mean, as important as it is, you mentioned somebody next to Critchley, it's the same on the pitch, like we mentioned before, isn't it? These are as inexperienced as the manager is at this level, aren't they? And most of them, I mean, somebody's putting it on the comments about Medine, Ward, etc. have got 300 caps appearances between them, which is fair enough, but that's a quarter of the starting 11. There's a lot of young lads who do need a hand holding, and like you say, I think Critchley probably needs that as well. I don't.
It's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen on that. I just don't see how they can do it now. I think we're in a corner a little bit.
The back's into a corner. Yeah.
I think off the pitch. I think off the pitch, definitely. On the pitch, they can address that. And whether these two lads who are actually only young centre halves are coming in,
that's a problem.
They've got. They've maybe got something about them that they've got leadership qualities. They may only be 21, 23, whatever they are, but they don't. The lads who are there at the moment, I don't see any leadership qualities in a lot of them, unfortunately.
No, I don't.
They might be talented in various ways, but they don't have the leadership qualities where you just need somebody to, we've all been there on a Saturday or afternoon or a Sunday morning playing football at various levels. There's always one or two on your side, whatever level you play at, and we don't seem to have any at the moment.
No, we are lacking leaders. I mean, like I said earlier, I think the spine of your team has got to be strong. I know people have said before, like the old Alan Hansen comment of you win nothing with kids, but but they had Pallister, Bruce, McClare, Hughes, Schmeichel. It wasn't just Beckham, Scholes, Giggs. What was it? It was
You're right.
Spine, and we haven't got that strong spine. We're a million miles away from where fans thought we should be. And that's the problem. And like I said, I keep going back to it again now. They've gone all in. The board have gone all in on Critchley. We really have. We've got rid of the whole squad from last season, who weren't a bad squad. I mean, let's be honest. We were still mid-table. We had a good start. We're top.
We were up there at one point, weren't we? We were.
Yeah, and that's a point that Drew was going to make. I mean, Drew was going. You say what you think, and
I don't think we gave Grayson enough time because he only got like half the transfer window to even tried to sign any players, and the players he got were like Dewsbury Hall and Monin, who are actually really good when we had them.
It's a fair point because you think when Grayson came in, he didn't really have that first summer transfer window. We had a decent start, and then we went a bit mental in the and signed a load of players, and that takes time to gel. Okay, there's a lot of loans there, and then we kind of panicked a little bit because the fans got on his back. I thought he panicked a little bit and thought, you know what? Yeah, we'll get rid of him without really a plan of who's coming in. Or we maybe had a plan of who was coming in, but it definitely wasn't Critchley. That wasn't. No. And that goes back to my first point.
I think Drew's point. I think Drew's point is brilliant because he's mentioned players there, and you I can't remember. We mentioned Ronan as well.
KDA.
Those three players would just walk into the team at the moment.
Of course they would. The centre half as well.
The big thing that we always thought we were looking forward to with Critchley was Liverpool players. Well,
yes,
we need a centre back, we need a centre midfield player, we need a forward, and yet we've gone to Arsenal for a centre back, which hopefully I hope he's going to be a great player for us. And
it's a baptism of fire, though, isn't it? Let's be honest. I mean, this kid,
he's only played one.
He may be good, but he's coming into
one game in Division 2 before getting injured. But why can't the Liverpool under-23 manager get a Liverpool centre back? But they've got bully middle. Why can't we get the guy from Oxford? I forgot what's his name. Just escapes me again at the moment. From last season. Sorry,
the midfield.
Woodburn.
Yeah, Woodburn. Why can't we get Woodburn in? And why can't we get a centre forward off him?
They've got loads of players. You're right. They stockpile players. I mean, these Premier League clubs, these under-23 teams, they stockpile players. Liverpool have probably got about 50 people who could, 50 kids at that age who could probably walk into our squad at the moment.
Yeah. Listen, they may be coming, but we need those players now, and we've got.
I don't think that's the answer now, though, Tim. I don't think that's the answer. I think we've gone past that now. I mean, that's not going to give you the experience. That's not going to give you your spine.
No, but
I think we all agree that that's what we're lacking.
Taylor Moore and Dewsbury Hall gave us spine.
Yeah, they were young lads. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they were young lads.
It all boils back to recruitment and quality of recruitment. And the things are pointing at Tommy Johnson. The things are pointing at him because he's in charge of that recruitment at the moment. At the moment, he's not delivering.
Well, this is the point. I made a couple of notes, and that was my last point actually about the transfers and the signings that we've made. That I think it's all a bit. Yeah, I mean, I've used that terminology a few times recently, but it does seem that way. It's like we've just gone for attacking players, and it's all a bit much of a muchness. Like Sarkic and that Besley Barlow and Yates even, Hamilton, Keshi Anderson. Well. We also have about 7 or 8 players who want to play as a number 10 or as an outside forward.
And we've got like 2%.
Right, Phil, we'll let you go and have your tea now. We've got a couple of other calls waiting in.
No problem.
It's really good to have you on anyway, Phil. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Drew.
Well done, Drew. The only person with any sensible comments all night.
Right, Sean, I'm really sorry to keep you hanging on.
No worries.
It's been a long time coming, but what's your point? What do you want to say tonight?
Yeah, I'm just following on from the points that Phil was making, really, when we're talking about experience. I think it's more a quality side of things, because obviously, as you were saying with Dewsbury Hall, you were saying about Ronan, you were saying about Taylor Moore as well, they're young lads, but it's your quality of your spine. You need to rely on these players, and you could have a 33-year-old, 34-year-old guy who's done it at the highest level or what have you, but he's slow and he's not as he was as a player when he was in his prime. And it's like you need to be bringing in these players, these talents, which is the right idea we've got, but we need to be bringing in these players that we can rely on. And it's the big
bot, isn't it? I think the bot's correct, what you've just said there.
It's just, as I say, it's just a sense of we've brought in these players and 6 months, 9 months down the line, they'll probably be doing it at this level. And I think he's right with his approach in terms of having to go at these teams, because all you're doing if you sit in against a team like Ipswich is showing how these players like Gabriel cannot defend at all. You lose by even more goals. We would have lost 6 or 7 because you're simply relying on defensive capabilities that aren't there. So you need to be, we're playing the right way with the players we've got, but it's a sense of we've got players that do lead by example, but not consistent. So you're looking at Ethan Robson, who, when he's on his game, the team seems to follow and push on by that. The same with CJ Hamilton. When he's making these runs in behind, we seem to be pushing forward at that case. Whereas today, Ethan Robson was so naive with his tackles, he could have been sent off about 10 minutes into the game. Like if he's off and CJ Hamilton wasn't taking on his fullback enough, he wasn't going at him enough, the team seems to feed off that and sort of retract in themselves, and they lose that confidence when they know that their best players aren't doing it. They don't believe that they can do it either.
It's interesting to compare Dazelle and Robson today, I thought, because he does a similar sort of job for Ipswich. But when I was watching him, I wasn't sort of like doing a scouting report as such, but you could tell he was going from almost fullback to fullback, whereas Robson just sort of stays in the middle. He doesn't, so therefore Dazelle can actually influence anybody in the back four of Ipswich that gets the ball, and he's the one that moves it then into the midfield and so on. And I think that this is where Robson, like you say, it's not. It maybe just hasn't got that sort of match intelligence yet, but that's where he could, in 6 months, 9 months, 12 months time, he could get there. And I think that's the word. It's the quality that we need to bring into the squad somehow. Not necessarily the experience, but it is the quality as well as maybe a little bit of experience.
The worry for me as well is with CJ that teams and they're already starting to do it.
Yeah,
double up on him, and we used to go on about how we were one-trick pony with Feeney to D'Angelo, but
at least that worked.
It did, and we're in danger of it being CJ or nothing already, which is a worry.
Yeah, you'd think a few games in. I mean, it seems obvious that a lot of teams are going to double up on him. You'd think we'd be clever enough, and this is maybe match intelligence again, that we haven't got somebody who can work that out so that we can bring the left hand side of the pitch into play more and release CJ Hamilton a bit more, and just start pulling the opposition around a little bit.
Start by switch flanks for 20 minutes and see how they go. I mean, CJ can play on the left, Yates can play on the right. Just swap them. We don't see any of that happening, and sometimes it doesn't work. And I remember being at Bolton when we put Feeney on the left. And,
don't talk about that game, Tim. I remember that.
Well, but sometimes it doesn't work. But at least you're doing something to try and shake things up a little bit. Now, in that occasion, we all know that Feeney couldn't play on the left, so it was a barking mad decision. But at least Grayson, albeit misguidedly, tried it. Maybe if CJ's been marked, shift him, take him away from the people who are marking him, or unsettle their defence. But we just keep. I think the point's been made. I think Phil's made it as well. Actually, to be fair, if Plan A is not working, do we have a Plan B? Or I think what we've been said is that the Plan B is to make Plan A better. But Plan A isn't made better by just keeping banging your head against a brick wall and keep doing the same thing. We need to think out the box sometimes. And today, when we were looking to get back into the game, I don't understand how bringing Williams on and taking Anderson off. Who I think Anderson, to be fair to him, was having a reasonable game. Why taking Anderson off and bringing a defensive midfielder on? Why is that making us better?
The other thing is as well.
Sean, I'll just bring you on in this. What's your view on that?
It's just, for me, there was small margins today where you could really see the difference, really, because Gabriel, you should have been telling Gabriel 10 minutes into the game to just drop another half yard. Edwards clearly had the run in him every time he had the ball over the top, so why not just drop that extra half yard? I think our fullbacks that we have generally would be absolutely fine if there was a back five and we had two centre halves that could cover them if they were making those forward runs. And it's a case of Gabriel clearly trusts his pace. Ethan Robson clearly trusts his ability to win the ball. But the minute they don't do those things and they see they've got the run, they don't seem to have that second plan themselves to be able to do anything about it. I think Anderson as well needs to trust his midfield more. I think Anderson's too quick to come deep and collect the ball off the defensive midfielders. And that pushes us back further. And then it leaves Medine having to come really deep himself to collect the ball. And if everyone keeps pushing deep, you're not getting the running behind anymore. And it's just a small little things that we could change that will make a slight difference. But again, it harks back to, if you just had the quality there in the first place, we wouldn't even need to be having this discussion, really.
That's a good point. And that's what I was just going to mention. Sean, you were talking about the quality of, like the loan signings last season. And we've gone and got Kemp. And we've not seen a lot of him yet. Again, today you wonder, could he have come on and done something? Or if they don't think he's up to it, what was the scouting of him before we signed him? You're getting a loan player. They need to be able to come in and affect the first team. Otherwise, you're wasting your time for me. Yeah. There's no point having a loan player just sat on the bench for the season.
And when we have seen Kemp, to be fair, he's looked like he's got a little bit about him. And when he came out, that second half against Liverpool wasn't great, but I thought he was one of the plus points of that second half. But since then, it's been sporadic. I can't remember which games he's played in, but it's been very, very sporadic. I mean, it's been a 10 minutes at the end of the game and whatever. And we're comparing that with, maybe we're looking back through it with tangerine specs on. But I don't think anybody would argue that the three loanees we added in the second half of last season really made a difference to the team. And we need these loanees, particularly when we've got a manager who's got all the contacts to get those loanees. We need those loanees to make that difference. Every one of those three loanees was almost like a nailed on. I know Ronan sometimes went sub, but Taylor Moore and Dewsbury Hall were nailed on starters in that team. And Ronan arguably should have been.
It was like a spine, wasn't it, Tim? It was like an instant spine plugged
and they were
in.
young. They were young. They don't have to be like. They don't have to be 30 years old. You don't need experience. You need quality.
Why can't Critchley dig these players out? Why can't he sign these type of players that you're talking about?
We haven't got one from Liverpool yet. Now, hopefully we're going to get them, but why haven't we got one? We've got an Arsenal one in.
That's not played. Yeah.
Who's not? We don't know yet. Hopefully he's going to be good. But why aren't we looking nearer to Melwood. Why? Why not? That's where he knows those lads, and he's got the contacts, he's got the relationships, and he knows we need 2 centre backs. He knows we need a central midfield player, and he knows we need a striker.
There's an interesting comment just been put on by Phil Hornby, which is a quote from Critchley. I don't know if you can put it up, John, but
yeah, there you go.
To then be 3-0 down at half time when for large periods of the half we were the better team is tough to take. It just didn't quite fall for us. I don't think 4-1 summarises that game. I'm sure I'd agree.
I thought we were awful in the first half.
Yeah.
I thought we were better in the second.
Better in the second, but I don't think you could argue with 3-0 at half time particularly.
No, maybe it's slightly harsh. I think maybe 2, but we listen. Nobody would come off that pitch at half time thinking Blackpool didn't deserve to be losing. I don't think anybody could argue that. I mean, it looked like men against boys. To be honest, I thought, listen, it's nowhere near the same level. But I've coached youth football, and I've seen sometimes you turn up against a team, and now that it's been my team who've been brilliant. Who batter somebody, but a lot of it is that you can just say, right, well, they just aren't aiming at the races with you, and we weren't at the races with Ipswich in that first half, and it was quite depressing to watch. Now, I don't necessarily think we were as bad in the second. I thought we came into the game a bit more, and actually was saying to the guys who was with that, look, if we get a second, it could get interesting here. And there's a one point, wasn't there, about that 15-minute spell up until they got the fourth, where I thought, if we can get a second, we might actually make a game of this. But the first half, we weren't anywhere near them, apart from that first 10-minute section, and they just looked like a professional outfit, and we looked like amateurs.
And we keep saying this every week, though, don't we? It's another team who've turned up, well drilled, well organised. They've got a game plan, and they've got us worked out after 10 minutes, and we've not got a response. And it's not going to change. Like I said after the Plymouth game, there's plenty of teams like Plymouth. After the Gillingham game, there's plenty of teams like Gillingham, the Lincoln game. It's Groundhog Day, isn't it? Every week, every Saturday, and it's a bit worrying.
Right, Sean, thanks for your call. We're going to have to kick you off now because we're going for our own tea soon. So thanks a lot, mate.
No worries.
Thanks for the insight. Sean, you do have a very good blog, actually, don't you? Do you want to give that a quick plug?
Yeah, I'll have one up tomorrow as well about the game, sort of looking at the tactical side of things, looking at the statistics as well. So I'm going to be carrying them on throughout the season as well. What's
your URL?
Well, it best just go on my Twitter, Sean Max Sport, and you'll see it on there.
Yeah, well worth the read, listeners / viewers. If you want to go and have a read of that. Right, cheers, Sean. Cheers, mate.
See you later.
Cheers, Sean.
Bye. Right, I think we're done. Shall we go through some of these comments, or have we had enough? I think Matt's old ruin is just starting to kick in. Let's just go through this one. From Eddie RXX, Turton at centre back is very worrying. Seeing as Thornley was in the bench. I think the man's on the bench. He did well against Aki. I thought NC was a tactical genius. Tim, Nick, that was a key hot talking point on our circular table at the Armfield.
First thing we said when the team news came out, wasn't it? What's going on there? Like Tim said earlier on, Thornley hasn't been brilliant and hasn't had a lot of game time for us, but first and foremost, he's a centre half, and I think today, with the other guys who couldn't play, he should have been starting. It's a weird one. I mean, he does like Turton because he's played him throughout, hasn't he? I think he coached him when he was younger. But it's one thing. Doesn't mean trusting him at right back. No, it isn't, and it doesn't make it right to say I'm gonna stick me right back in it at centre half when I've got a centre half sat on the bench.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Because whether Thornley is going out of the club, because you'd think that if he's not going to get a game in today's circumstances, when is he going to get a game? So he must be thinking the same at this particular point. Now, whether he'll go into the manager's office on Monday and have a conversation with him, and maybe they've had that conversation already, I don't know. But you'd think that he and somebody like Teddy Howe have got to be thinking, my days are almost numbered here. So move me on, let me get playing somewhere else that'll want me to play.
Well, I'd said on the WhatsApp group that Critchley must really not rate Thornley for him not to start today. And if I was Thornley, I'd be in the office on Monday wanting to move on, because if he can't get a game when Nottingham's gone. Obviously, Nottingham discarded and gone. When we've got Husband out, and when the two new centre backs who've come in either can't play or aren't viewed as being fit enough to play, which seems to be the case, then when is he going to get a game? And this is a Championship centre back stroke left back who's played enough games at a higher level to do a job for us, and he played on Tuesday night and I didn't watch the game, but for the reports I've had, he did a decent job. So why wouldn't you play that player in that back four today? I don't know. There must be something. There must be something either in training or there's got to be, there's got to be an explanation for it, but it doesn't. It's not staring me in the face. Maybe there's some sort of personal issue that we don't know about. But yeah, it's.
I think you've got to put that to one side, though, haven't you? When you two of your centre halves aren't available and Husband suspended, then whether you like the guy or not, you can still come in and do a job and keep it professional. To be fair, under the previous managerial team, Thornley hasn't had the game time, has he? That you would have expected from. Apologies, my dog just having a shake there. But Thornley, since he's come in, he's not played in the way that in to the level and the number of games we would expect to see him play. I mean, when he came in, we all thought he was going to be a nailed-on starter, didn't we?
Based on the Sheffield Wednesday.
And they saw him as a future captain, and so clearly when he's played for them, he's put a shift in and shown his abilities. But I just haven't seen enough of him really to form a view.
Yeah, the occasions I've seen him play, he's been quite poor, to be honest. But like you say, Tim, he hasn't had a run in the team to formulate a balanced argument or opinion on him, really. So yeah, it's very odd, to say the least. Right, let's move on to this comment from George Glass. Questions need to be asked of Critchley now. I think it would be naive to sack him this early on, but this poor performance is on him. Matt, it certainly is. And something you said resonated with me with regards to the defeat at Barnet when we got beat 6-1, but still went up.
7-0.
7-0.
Sorry, I was there.
Yeah.
I was one of those millions that were there because I was in London at the time. Yeah.
I was one of those.
Badge of honour, isn't it? I was actually there because I was in London. So you're trying to spin a bit of positivity in, which is to be encouraged, obviously.
Yeah, more out of desperation, I think, really. But we, for those who don't know, who of a certain age, we got battered 7-0 at Barnet.
Even.
Yes, we got battered at 7-0, and then, I don't know, 6 months later, whatever it was, we ended up getting promoted at the Millennium Stadium, I think it was.
And Barnet got relegated.
There you go. So yeah,
all is not lost.
All is not lost. I think we've collectively, we've sort of discussed this earlier in terms of it's not going to be a sacking for Critchley. This is where we are now, and we're stuck with it, as it were. But we've got to hope that we can get some additional experience, quality, whatever you want to call it, to assist us, because I fear that these 14, 15 regulars just aren't going to be up to the mark in in the short term. They need a little bit of assistance. They really do.
Right, I think we're going to leave it there, gents. We're on 1 hour 15. I think we could actually go on all night, couldn't we?
Not if you're drinking that turbo cider, you couldn't. I can tell you that for free.
Oh, God. I'm flagging. We've got loads more comments to go to, but I can't. You're all bastards. I can't be bothered. So, listeners, viewers, thanks so much for all your comments coming in. But, we're trying to cap this at an hour. And we've had so much good feedback coming in. So do keep your comments coming in. Do keep following us. Do keep watching these streams. We really appreciate every single one of you. And if you do want to get involved on the next show, if you want to be the next Phil Reekie, go to spod.live and that will bring you directly into this show and you can have your say. It's always better having your say rather than just making little comments. And you can actually hide your video if you don't want to show your face as well. So
there you go. There you go, Bisons. There's your opportunity.
Yeah. Come on, Bisons. You're very quick on the finger on the keyboard. Don't be a keyboard warrior. Come on and let us hear what you sound like or show us your face. So it's great to have callers coming onto the show. We really want to hear people's voices. So we're going to be doing this every Saturday at 5:30. And it's good therapy, isn't it, Jan?
It is much needed. I can watch Britain's Got Talent now with a smile on my face. Sort of.
What? It's sort of like
that
smart.
Made me Saturday even worse.
Oh God.
Right, thanks. So as I said earlier, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for viewing. Thanks for listening on this pod because we will be releasing this audio soon. Next week, gents, we're going to be doing what we're classing as a full fat pod, where it's going to be the general just chit chat and rubbish that we normally speak, isn't it, gents?
It is.
Even more.
That's possible.
Give them what they want, John.
Give them what they want. Get them spending, Jerry. Get them spending. So thanks for downloading this. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And all that remains to be said is under to out the pool.
Up the pool.
Change the world.